Hello, hello, this is Haberman, joined by Bag to bring you Betrayer! Betrayer. Betrayer is the name of this game. I keep fucking up the name of this game, because I don't like this single word, just, not buzzword, but just words.
Trigger word?
Trigger words. Betrayer. Trigger word, Betrayer. Guys, look, I know some of you not into the Betrayer, so I'm going to put up this trigger warning, and hopefully you can avoid it if necessary. I keep on calling this game like Bewatched, is one I've been making a mistake with a few times. I called it Bewitched at some point, which means I fucked up calling it Bewatched. It's just been all over the place with it. This is a game by Black Powder Studios, who you may have not heard of, probably haven't, because they haven't put anything out yet. But you've maybe heard of Monolith Productions?
Mm-hmm.
Is that doing anything for you?
Yeah.
Okay, alright then. So what do they make, huh? What do they make?
Oh, well, Fear 1,
No,
Fear 2...
You actually know.
Fear
Wait,
Harder.
well, the guys who were responsible for Black Powder, as far as I know, I think they left before Fear 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So, I was thinking more No One Lives Forever as
Gotham City Imposters.
Yeah, I suppose technically, yeah, they were responsible for that. They were also responsible for Matrix Online, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
And Shogo Mobile Armor Division, which is a game that they advertised, they willingly acknowledged they were responsible for working on. Which is a game I don't have too many fond memories of, and I don't think most people who played it did either. Could be wrong about that. But I think in No One Lives Forever and Fear, those are the two ones I think of. And those are actual games. Those are actual first-person shooters.
Yeah.
I don't know if that statement colors how I feel about this game, but don't make assumptions just yet. So this isn't a game.
Oh dear.
Well, this is a game. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. But you may have gathered from this main menu even that it has a very stylistic aesthetic. Controls here are all standard audio. Nothing to really show off here. Not yet, anyway. This game is also currently in early alpha access beta Steam pre-sale mode where you can pay full price for it or close to it and get a half-finished game. So,
Yeah.
Obviously I jumped on the opportunity to do that. We're going to start a new game. I don't care about my progress. No difficulty selection, which is just pointing that out. Just a feature. And here we are. So as you may have gathered, this game has a very heavy emphasis on aesthetic, let's say, which is this high contrast look, which, looking out at this horizon, looks kind of fine. Then we turn over here, and you can see how things maybe start to get a little indistinguishable. This will become a problem.
You haven't fucking dragged me into some Dear Esther bullshit again, have you?
I was hoping you would point that out. No, do not worry. I have a knife. I already have a knife equipped, and I can sprint.
Oh, okay.
So this is already 1,000 times more of a game than Dear Esther is. They even have a health meter with a not-so-great font, probably. I think that's still a work in progress. I hope the heads-up display is still they're working out some kinks on that. Maybe realizing that, gotta go some better fonts than that. It's not doing anything for me as is. But, I played a bit of this. I played about an hour of this, so I'm an expert. I'm what you'd call a Betrayer expert. So if you have any questions at all during this, just fill me in. Let me know. See, right here, this is a part where I started to realize, oh no, this could be a problem. I could get a headache out of this. Whoa! That's crazy. She's wearing red. So there is one other color, and that color is red. And
So it's like Sin City, but during the day.
Yeah, pretty much exactly. Or a high contrast Schindler's List is what I had in my brain. And so this lady has been shooting me helpful notes. That seems to be her role early on. She hopes that she can trust us, but she can't take any chances, which is why she's shooting arrows at us from, 10 feet away than walking away. And there's some comment on there about, let me pull it up again actually, about how this, no, that's actually the next note. I'm sorry. I got this out of sequence in my brain already. But I can imagine some folk playing this game and not being able to take it. And there have been a lot of criticisms and complaints already about this graphic style and how it makes things nigh unseeable.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? What am I looking at right now? We know it's a rock from the context of, being here, but look, imagine like a screenshot of this game. Imagine if this was a thumbnail, what would the people think? They would think that my LCD monitor had cracked and it was doing that thing where it's like all the LCD shit is leaking and there's dead sections on the screen. They'd be like, what a mess.
So why does the game look like this? Are you a dog?
That's you got to the twist and you beat me to it.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna let the game explain it itself. Beware the Spaniards, for they are much changed and are now more beasts than men. That's I don't know what the racial implications of that. That's we get our bow. We get a bow and arrow. This is our first weapon that we get, besides the dagger, which I'm not going to count because the thing is fucking useless, as we'll discover at some point. As far as, from what I can gather, from Community Hub comments and stuff along those lines, the game was originally full color, full of the color, and then they started testing it. They started internally testing it before the alpha went live. Or early access. I just call them alphas, even though they're... You know what I mean when I say that, right?
Yeah, don't worry about it, dude.
So they debuted it, and then they tried this out. They tried out an alternate graphic style. They did this just for kicks, just to see what it would look like. Here's our first enemy. You can tell who enemies are because they're bright red, which is helpful, I guess. Too bad the environment is still, like, completely impossible to make out at times. So kind of negates the, how you say, visibility of enemies when you can't get like a fucking waymark in your head, when you can't make out any landmarks because everything looks identical after a while. But anyway, they debuted this game in color, then they made it black and white, and people commented on how that was more striking, so they decided to change it to this high contrast look, which of course has gotten them almost nothing but flack since they've done it, and yet they haven't changed it back. So, but more on that later. Some people already know the twist to this story, but just bear with us. Bear with me. We'll get to that in time. Bag doesn't know it yet. I haven't told you. And that was the end of the first area. The game is sort of broken up into these areas. I don't know if we might be having a problem here with this load screen. Nope, there we go. Sometimes Fraps doesn't get along with load screens. Look at that poppin'. Look at that poppin'. This is a Unreal Engine game, if not mistaken. I do believe this is an Unreal 3 engine banger, which Monolith, not particularly known for their work with the Unreal Engine. They kind of had their own engine. It's called Lithtech. I thought that's a pretty good engine. I thought that was a pretty good engine, and a lot of people seem to think that as well. They're kind of known for developing that engine, kind of their flagship product more than any of their games, I'd say. Or close to it, at the very least. So, then again, this could be on Lithtech, and I could be making a huge ass of myself right now. I don't believe it is, though. I'm fairly certain that this is on the Unreal, the good old Unreal. Oh, here's a bit more combat. Which, let's try some melee. That didn't work out too hot for me. That could have gone slightly better.
Voices, I assume, not final.
Let's hope not. Let's hope the sound effects are not final. We're going to hear another one in a minute. This has the Dark Souls-esque mechanic of having to pick up the loot from where you died before you die again. Otherwise, you lose it for good.
So is this like... It got some sort of exploration to it?
It does, as a matter of fact. The game prides itself on being sort of open-ended, as they say. Now, I hope you heard that sound effect, because when I heard that the first time, that cartoon, like, acne, frying pan
Yeah,
to
frying
the head,
pan smack, 3.wav.
The first time I heard that, I laughed. I had to pause it. I was I was like, I have this file on my computer. I have this in my Acme, like, Hanna-Barbera soundpack.zip. That's not the best sound choice. Like, I get it. It's still a work in progress. They're using stock sound effects. But come on, that's like using the Wilhelm scream for every scream in your game. As if every time you shot an enemy, it was Wilhelm scream.wave. Of course, that sound doesn't happen every time, but it happens enough that it sort of stands out. We're picking off a few more dudes outside here. Which, you may notice this guy, you can barely see the red on him, which negates that advantage I was talking about earlier, of being able to see the red, because sometimes it's straight up, just won't show, they'll be at such an angle that you get none of that,
Yeah.
and they just sort of blend in.
Yeah, I'm seeing that.
We did pick up a musket, though. We did, enemies do drop loot, so we do have a proper
Yeah, I did
gun.
see your loot counter.
We get, it does a thing that I believe it was Dragon Age 2 where they started realizing that all these items that are just vendor trash, how about we just tell you what they are and then give you right away just the cash value for it instead of having to worry about any shit. Which is nice of them. Also, we can sell items from anywhere in the world, so if I want to get rid of this Shorpo, which I don't, I could just drag it there to sell it without having to be in a shop or anything of that sort.
Huh.
But this game, you asked earlier if there's an exploration element to it, and I'm very happy you asked that, because this game does pride itself in being sort of open-ended. So we got some choices here. We can walk off into this bad view distance, into this horrible white fog.
Yeah.
We can go to this town, or I believe there should be something on the horizon here, something shiny. We can head towards this shining object. So what do you want to do first? What would you like to do?
Probably the town?
Probably the town? Good, let's do the town. Let's, hit the town. Paint the town red, because that's the only other fucking color in this game. So, might as well.
Oh, check out that flag, boy.
Will do. Oh, lost sight of it. Where'd it go? It's a classic flag. Black
Oi.
flag. Oh, sun got in the way. That's great. That's a great sun transition, because you can so easily tell where the sun is in the sky when the entire sky is pure white. Great design decision. Which, you know what, I'm criticizing this. I'm making fun of this graphic style. And I understand that maybe for some people. In fact, I'm usually a fan of this graphic style. You mentioned Sin City. I like the way Sin City looks. There's another game that came out called Vigil Blood Bitterness, which also did this a few years ago. It was not like
Mad World as well.
Mad World. I usually fucking dig this style, but in this game,
Well,
this is not the game
In those
for it.
games, isn't it usually built from the ground for that art style in mind?
Yes.
So
And
it's
this
not
is-
like... I assume, from seeing this game so far, that this graphic treatment is a shader. This isn't...
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay.
This is a shop, this is one of the stores I mentioned earlier, which is run on an honor system, which you are forced to adhere to the honor system. You can't not honor the honor system here, but you leave the money, you get the item. Because there's no one here. There's no one around. There's no one in this town. This podunk town of ours. There are notes lying around, though. This game loves its notes. And these notes are written like fucking riddles, or written like written in the oldie English. Which, that's a legitimate stylistic choice, that's fine. Makes some of it impenetrable, but, you know, I'm used to it enough. I've had to read enough of that through college courses and shit that I can pick up on it, but I can imagine there's some players out there who all this language will fly over their heads, all this flowery language will deflower them.
Nice. I like that.
It's a feature. Put that on the box. Oh, we just picked up the Charm and the Musketeer. So we have our weapons and we have charms. Those are our two main items. This one here makes our reload for muskets a bit quicker, which that can come in handy.
Yeah.
I'm still walking around the town here. There are things to observe, like these arrows, and for what it's worth, they do a pretty good job of we're gonna look at this. We examined some arrows earlier. The problem here is that the hover spots for it where you can actually look at the arrow. Because right now we have our mouse right over it. Nothing. If I sidestep to the right and get further away from it, then it'll pop up.
Yeah, that's some kind of jank business there.
What I like is that he says more Indian arrows. And there are other Indian arrows in the town. I know there's at least one more tower. Let me just get that shit real quick. And they do it, like, even if you do it, no matter what sequence you do it in, no matter what sequence you discover them in, it's always like, and yet more arrows, and yet even more arrows, as if, whoa, hey buddy, how's it going? Enjoying the scenic view? He's just as confused by this aesthetic as I am. He's just as...
Oh yeah, that is a person. Took a while there, sorry.
Yeah, it's a little hard to make out, as we've established. It is only ash and ember. So something may be amiss in this town. I don't know if you picked up on that. And look at this. Okay, that's a note on the ground. We're standing a few feet away from it. You can sort of notice it. But like, it's supposed the red rings are supposed to draw attention to it, and they're just not doing their goddamn job here. And that's the problem, is that you have the black and white, and you're supposed to be using red as your indicator to highlight things, and it just doesn't do a good enough job of it in most cases. In most cases, the shaders will get in the way of it, or like they'll fuck up. The lighting will like make this flag invisible when you look up towards the sky from any other angle except for the one where it won't do that. And it makes the game just... Oh, by the way, get ready for more stock sound effects here. Wait, hold on, why is it not... Oh, I probably have to take some damage for it to play the other sound effect. I'm sorry. Just get hyped for that, though. Know that's coming next time I hurt myself.
If it's not the Doom pain noise, I'm going to be thoroughly disappointed.
I'm partial to the Quake sound effect myself, the Quake pain.wave. Oh, we picked up a bell at some point.
Yes.
Which means we can replace this bell. Which means we can ring the bell. Which means this happens. So that inverted the colors, sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, it made it less contrasty. Also made this man appear. This old fellow. Let's have a chat with a ghost, why don't we? Do you want to read this stuff out loud in case the font's too small? Usually I'm against reading text in-game. Or can you not even read that?
I'm really honest, I can read some.
Well, read what you can read. Let's see how much of it you can read.
So I see, stay back, what manner of fiend are you?
I might ask the same of you, but I mean no harm. What, let's not do this.
Nah.
And so we have a conversation in fucking... Not riddles.
I'm sure this will be fine in HD.
Yes. Watch in HD. It's available. And so the general gist of this conversation is that this guy used to work for the government, used to be a soldier, fucked up, got sent to this podunk town, so this town sucked even before we showed up. Or before the Spanish showed up and apparently did their mean things to the people. And so now, they're ghosts. A ghost town. A literal ghost town. In both definitions of the word. In that it is horribly haunted, as well as mostly deserted.
Oof, 15,000 Spaniards used to live here. That's a ghost town.
Fuck off. So it gave us a new option, a new ability to, quote, listen by pressing the X key. I'm listening right now, I'm not hearing anything. I think it's probably context sensitive too. Once we get close to something and try listening in, we may actually hear something. But it's doing nothing for me right now. Which is weird, because I remember it did work for me the first time I got it and I just pressed the button, it worked right away. So that is a curious thing indeed. But that's a little obtuse, right? What just happened there, that wasn't really, how you say, explained? That wasn't, like, introduced to us? They didn't have, like, a mechanic, they didn't have a tutorial thing pop up explaining what the fuck just happened? Like, when you ring the bell, you enter the negative universe. Or anything of that sort. It just sort of happened. And that's the running theme with this. Here's another example. I'm hoping this guy is still... Nope, he's not there. This is... I don't know if there's some randomization going on here. Or maybe if I have to ring the bell again. This might be it. Okay, so it was having to ring a bell again to get this other ghost to show up. So every time you have a conversation with a ghost, the bell unrings itself. And you have to re-ring it to find other fucking ghosts. Which, that's not so much a mechanic as it is, like, a bad mechanic. As it is oversight, I want to say.
Can you ring the bell to undo?
You can unring the bell, amazingly. Some people say the bell cannot be unrung. This game is the proof against that. So, this is the start of a quest. This is the start of like a side quest. That we are meant to retrieve this ghost skull. I shall heed to get it back. I will accept this mission. And no new indicators on our compass. Nothing. It's just...
Oh yeah, you do have a compass there, yeah.
We do, but it doesn't point anything out, is the problem. Is that it doesn't indicate anything. It doesn't point us towards anything. We just took that mission, and there's no indication. We have a map here, too. And there's no marker, no hint to where it could be. It's just, here we are. Someone has a skull. 50, gotta get your skull back. That's the ghost of 50 Cent. He's very upset about the loss of his skull, and we gotta go get it back for him. But we have no hints, no clues. And some people will probably try to make an argument for, well, it's sticking it to the norm. That, of course, you're not gonna know where it is, realistically. And yeah, I guess. But you know what? This is a fucking video game. I'm gonna unring this bell so I can
it'd be
back.
fine, but are there specific ways of finding out without just aimless exploration?
Not that I fucking found. There's not even like a hint. Like, even if they're not going to put it on the compass, or, you know what they should be doing, if they want to even be like, they want to stay within the bounds of quote-unquote realism, because when I think of realism, I think of this game, but you get what I'm trying to say here. If they wanted to stay within this, like, realm of logic, he could just be like, I could have sworn I saw those invaders move to the north with my skull, then I shall heed to get it back to you from the north, where they've gone. I don't know why I headed over here. I thought I saw something shiny. Like a dog. I see a shiny object and I run towards it.
So, not to jump to probably one of the forefront points of this video, but is there a story reason behind the aesthetic of the video game?
I am not sure as of yet. Let's try out this musket. Yeah, musket. Killed him. Killed him dead. Good for us. Lucky us. Okay, so I'm looking at this, and this just looks like what the fuck is going on here. And I mentioned earlier that there are no fucking landmarks. There's no way you can, like, point stuff out and remember where you are, because once you have this high contrast look going, everything just sort of starts...
Can you mark anything on your map?
Is this the skull? Did I already find the skull here? Or no, this is actually all objects, all loot objects look like skulls. And I'm just having a problem picking up this loot object.
She did pick up some just a second ago.
I picked up something, but this is still here. For all I know, this could be the quest skull, and I can't do shit with it right now, because this game is still...
there's something pointing at it.
That's
Check
actually...
out your compass.
It should be,
See?
I can't
Jump
get
in.
it... I can't. I'm pressing
No
the
regrets.
use key. No... Oh! And it just disappeared. Just dis-a-fucking-peared. So that could have been the skull. That could have been the fucking skull. We may have just lost it.
Who knows?
So I'm looking at this, and this makes me. I think it's about time. I'm gonna. You know what? Let's find a nice horizon. Why don't we? I want to get a nice scenic view. Let's maybe stand on top of a rock, or you know what? Oh, actually, I hear an enemy in the distance, so we should probably take care of that first and foremost. We have a tomahawk too, which is a one-hit kill from all I've seen. See, here's another skull. There's another skull I can't do anything with. And there's another arrow pointing to it. So I have no idea.
Maybe you're just supposed to kill enemies and figure out which skull
Maybe
it
I have to
is?
kill them in bell ringing mode, but that would be another shitty, obtuse thing for them to do without explaining it at all and just having us make some major fucking assumptions here about how this game is meant to be played. I'm just trying to find a nice view here because that's the cinematographer in me. This will do just fine.
Yeah, just get on Pride Rock and let's do this.
Okay, so here it is. Here's the world as we know it. Let There Be Life.
Huh, okay.
So this is still in the game. They still have the original colors in the game. You can enable them and disable them at will. Except, of course, the game does default to the high contrast look. And it's still sort of high contrasty, like the sky, we don't see the sun.
Yeah, very bloomed, yeah.
It's still a very light sky. No real way of adjusting that as far as we can turn down the light intensity all the way. This is probably closer to the way it should look. I like to play it a bit brighter, though, just so it turns out a bit better on the video, the old video front. So this will do nicely. But, you know, I'll say it, even though I'm glad this is still in the game, it's still not very good looking. It looks very washed out.
I had a sneaking suspicion deep down that some of the art style might have been to cover something up.
And in this case, it happens to be some very not great textures if you get close up on just about anything in the game, and some very washed out colors, which maybe the washed out colors are a consequence of the focus on the shader for high contrast mode. I'm not going to say for sure. I'm novice, not a part of the dev team. I don't know these things. But what I do know is that we're going to continue to play in this mode, even though it sort of makes the game look even less interesting. Well, to say that it looks uninteresting is sort of a fallacy. It looks interesting. Like, conceptually, the high contrast look, there's something to that if it was maybe implemented better. If it was maybe implemented in a way which wasn't a fucking eyesore that wasn't liable to give people headaches, where you could actually make shit out, if things were distinct enough. If you weren't, let's say, walking around the fucking forest where all the trees look the same, even in full color.
Yeah, and again, it not seeming to have any point with the story.
As far as we know, there could be something here. By the way, I just want to point out, we're going to go into Bell mode again, because maybe
I don't know. I feel like if there was like a very strict story point, then they wouldn't let you turn it off.
That's a valid point in itself. Ringing the bell goes into black and white mode again, though.
Oh, okay.
So there's no color for this, no matter what we do. But I just wanted to point that out. And hopefully, let's see if we can find an enemy here. I want to see what combat's like in this mode.
That seems okay, because, I assume this could be some sort of dark otherworld.
Oh, so that brings us a new type of enemy, who will destroy us.
Oh, jeez.
Did not give us much time. So I wonder if I have to navigate out there from within the... it looks like I have to go back to the Dark World to get back that loot, because it's not on the compass as is. Yep, there we go. So I'm going to quickly head over there, and I'm going to try to run away, because I clearly am no match for those enemies. I could try maybe taking out one at least if I need to. The Tomahawk should be a one-hit kill. You would think that the guns would be like the emphasis in the game, because you start off with a bow and arrow, and that thing works out okay. But then, like, the musket is better than that, and the Tomahawk seems to be the one-hit kill, so that's our super weapon. Okay, so they're not even here right now, which is nice. Gives us a chance to run back and unring the bell. I just want to show off a bit more combat stuff, then this should wrap this video up. This shouldn't go too long.
No.
Because what I want to do with this video is just show off, not show off because I'm not, proud of it or anything, but to sort of demonstrate, what's going on with this game, which was made by people who have made, some real fucking games. Like, Monolith, those guys, those ex-Monolith guys, no slouches. They should know a bit better. And, aesthetically, sure, they could be trying out a new style, but you know what that's not an excuse for? Not great combat. When you get to melee, it's just trading blows, and they do way more damage way quicker than you do.
Yeah,
the guns don't feel particularly well.
Monolith made Condemned, you would think melee would not be an issue there either.
The guns aren't very good. Oh, and of course enemies will just gank you like that. I'm not having fun with the combat. I've played enough of it to make that determination, to say that I don't really like the way the guns feel, which they're muskets. To some extent, you have to, forgive them their flaws. They're only going to fire so many bullets per minute, and that's not the problem. The problem is that it just doesn't feel like it has any weight to it. Which, then again, that could also be a consequence of still using stock sound effects and not having all that shit developed. For all I know, they can improve on this, but I somehow doubt that it'll change too drastically. Which brings us with the problem of, okay, so you've got a style going, you're sticking to it, I guess, kind of, sort of. You have a toggle for it, so I don't know if that's really sticking to it at this point. 1 musket shot, 2 melee. Dead again. If you can't deal with more than one enemy at once, not that I found. I don't think it's a weapon that helps with that situation, because everything fires so slowly. You have muskets and bow and arrows, and these are all single-shot weapons that have reload times, and when you're surrounded by more than one enemy, there's no way around that. Maybe there's a weapon later on. Maybe they give you a Gatling gun. Probably not,
Blunderbuss, maybe.
A boy can dream, can he? You do get a pistol, which fires slightly faster. I could buy that before the video's over. I'm about to lose this loot, though, if I can't run over to this before we get shot again. There we go. Also worth mentioning that enemies run faster than we do.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Which means that you can't run away from a fight.
Very manly game.
Unless you, use geometry to your advantage. Which, even that doesn't help me out there. So basically, if you accidentally run into more than one enemy, you're fucked. You are doomed. You will not be able to outrun them. You'll not be able to escape the fight. You'll be forced to fight, except the mechanics are entirely against you in combat, which makes the whole thing a fucking chore. Which, these are people who should know how to make an FPS. They've made a bunch in their time. They've made No One Lives Forever, which, can I just say, No One Lives Forever, fucking great game. That was probably one of my favorite FPSs of the late 90s, early 2000 era. That was a really quality game. I'm gonna lose this fucking loot if I don't grab it real quick. Let's go ahead and tomahawk him. Since that's the guaranteed right there. Just dang right up against his skull. Clang.wave. Cap it off. Oh, and we actually have low health now, which means we can check out one last stock sound effect after I grab this treasure chest. Because that's the thing, if you spot a treasure chest, you gotta go grab it because you're not gonna remember it because everything looks the fucking same. There's no landmarks. Everything blends the fucking...
This game definitely seems to stick with a very open exploration system for better and for worse.
There is fast travel, so you can fast travel back to the towns and stuff. But there's no other markers on the map. There's no hey, this is where you found this thing, or this is where you spotted something out the corner of your eye, like the Fallout mechanic.
Yeah, it just seems aimless.
Yes, that's a very good word for it, which I would attribute that word to both the game itself, the player's experience with it, and maybe to the actual developments of the game as well. That seems a little aimless at this point, that they've put these ideas together. I like some things about the inventory. I think there's a potential there with the shop system here, with just being able to sell items from anywhere. I like the way menus look generally, the interface stuff. That could be stringed into something good. A game where muskets are your primary weapons could be interesting. I can get behind that. There's a way to do that right. For an example of that, do not play the Battlegrounds. The fucking source mod. That's an example of it done wrong.
Yeah.
Actually can't think of an example of it done right so far. Gods and Generals on PC.
Darkest of Day.
Yeah, Darkest of Days. I didn't mind Darkest of Days. That's actually a decent example. Go with that. I should also mention real quick that all these different weapons here, we have the 4, what I think are the primary ones. A short bow, a musket, a longbow, a pistol. And both the firearms use different types of bullets. They use pistol and musket ammo, despite the fact that I'm pretty sure it would have just been charges. It wouldn't have been too different. It would have been just black powder and a little BB, little steel ball. That should be interchangeable. And then the short bows use different arrows from the long bows, which I know there's some legitimacy to that. But yeah, so it's all different ammo sources, and there's not much ammo. They don't give you much of it at all. Game very stacked against you. Did I mention that? As everything seems to be.
I was getting that impression.
Let's drink some water real quick. There's a little slurp that wave for you, which could have sworn I recorded that sound effect in when I was 12 years old into my microphone. And people have been using it ever since. Uploaded to flashkit.com, and it's just taken off from there. So let's close out the video in the way the game was meant to be seen, which is this. Or you know what? Maybe a slight saturation. This seems like this would be nice. Wouldn't this be okay? Wouldn't this be totally fine? Maybe crank down even just a little less. Just have a bit of color, just a splash of it.
Some definition.
And this already makes things just so much fucking better. Even if it's so little. Look, there's moss on the grass. It's still high contrasty, so you can hide your bad textures. But look, you can make things out a bit. It looks a little more lush. It's like you're colorblind. This is like a pretty inaccurate depiction of what it's like to be colorblind. I don't think colorblind people look towards the sky and just have their retinas burned out. But you know, it's something. It makes it. This would look more distinctive than pure black and white. I would like this more, and you can do it. You can totally do it. You can make it. You can play the game this way if you want to. It's an option. But when like the primary focus seems to be in the high contrast mode, I don't know. Not so sure about that.
Yeah, and again, I don't see what the story or game because the gameplay doesn't seem to benefit from it really.
Oh, it doesn't. It absolutely suffers from it. It's a problem with it more than anything else. So this is a pretty wide open area, though. If we're stretching for credits to give this game, it's that this area is nice and open. That there is something to be said for like a sort of open world. Or not really open world. I think there is actual like there should be some linear story that just isn't apparent, but there's some path that we're meant to take, which isn't indicated to us. That's a problem. But it's not open world, but open ended. That you're free to make your own. Well, fuck that fight. I put 3 fucking arrows in the guy and that didn't kill him. So I don't know what they want me to do there. That's some enemies will just do that. Some enemies will just can't win the fight. Just can't win a fair fight. So I don't know. Maybe they'll finish this game. Maybe they'll finish this game one of these days, and they'll realize some of the mistakes. They'll rein in a few things. They'll maybe de-emphasize it. Maybe they'll return to advertising the fact that it's in color, or maybe they won't. Maybe they realize that that's basically the one defining feature of this game at this point, for better or for worse. For worse,
yeah.
Maybe they'll notice that. But no, they've noticed at this point that, hey, our game is pretty fucking lackluster by all accounts. The combat, we can't find a way to make it fun. With the stupid gimmick we've roped ourselves into of only having single-shot weapons, we fucked ourselves there. We're too lazy to add mission markers. I didn't know these guys could come into town. Let's switch to the... I want to switch to my pistol.
Yeah.
But, nope, game doesn't pause when we're... Game does not pause when we're in our inventory. So that's unfortunate. At least the item's right there for me. So at least it's not a long walk. And that guy probably disappeared by this point. That guy's probably left the vicinity. Which, good for him. Get out of this podunk town.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Was I saying anything? Was I sort of just mumbling, trailing off?
I think you were wrapping up.
I was trying to wrap up.
Yeah.
I was attempting to wrap up. But, yeah, so maybe they realize that there's nothing to this game except for this color scheme they have going on. And maybe we're stuck with it now. Maybe they're going to stick with it, and they'll suffer for it. And
yeah, but
game,
again, I don't see the point behind it at all.
Well, it's art. It's art. That's the point. Is that it's art. It's artful.
It's only art if it has a reason.
There are people who will disagree with you on that. I'm not one of them, but just letting you know, there are people who will disagree with you on that.
Hey, I've
point.
seen postmodern art. I know what you're talking about.
And I think that about wraps it up. That's about as much of this game I'm willing to play, too. I don't care to play any more of this game. I paid the money for it, and I remember what I was saying. Hopefully one of these days they'll finish this game.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you think this was worth even putting out on early access?
No, it wasn't. I understand why they did, to drum up some sort of fleeting interest in it, because no one gives a shit about this. Like, people who have bought it, it's not getting much discussion on the community hubs. Usually with games that are like in this early access mode, they're getting constant feedback, but people seem to already be feeling that this game is long in the tooth. They're still updating it. They're still putting out like an update per week or per month at the very least. But people are already sort of like have lost interest. People have already played it. They're patching stuff in, taking stuff out, and it's just not drumming up the interest they're going to need. Maybe one day it'll finish this game and people will plug it then, but probably not, because I think they'll be as uninterested in it as I am. Which is to say, very, which is unfortunate, but what can you do? You can't win them all, I guess. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for trying to make out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah,
in
no,
this video
this color commentary has been very fun.
Fuck you.